J.D. McDonough. Get well soon, J.D. We've had fun at your expense, but you're a good kid, and what the fuck? If anybody hasn't heard, the match was J.D. McDonough and Dominik Mysterio for the tag team title against the War Raiders. And let me say this before JD's near fatal injury takes up all the time. The War Raiders are doing a great job with the new gimmick. These cartoon goddamn Vikings that had been going nowhere, now they've revamped them. Hopefully after, they're drawing so many more new people, maybe people didn't see that or they'll forget quickly.
Go back and watch this match again after you find out about the injury, and between Dominik just looking exhausted and knowing how badly JD was hurt, these guys look like killers in there. Go back and watch it again now.
Yes, but anyway, War Raiders doing great. Thankfully, you came back from Norway, and the problem was early on, JD did the moonsault to the floor where he jumps up, springs off the rope, and moonsaults the guy.
Acai moonsault.
Acai moonsault. Thank you, Excalibur. No, I can't do that to you. I apologize.
I say you become the ultimate dragon.
The ultimate dragon. But anyway, JD does the moonsault on one of the fellows, and he landed on the way that you land on the guy so he could break the fall, but he kept spinning backwards, and the back of his head and his upper back and middle back hit the announce desk at a frightening rate of speed, and boom, and he bounced off on the floor instantly, and Michael Cole shit himself. And he basically came out on commentary and said, somebody check on J.D. McDonough, and I'm not kidding. He probably thought he was dead, because I can't imagine sitting 2 feet in front of that. And the camera didn't even catch it really the first time, but they did a replay. And, I hate to chastise this guy that's just injured himself, but a general chastisation. Guys, as in people in the wrestling business, what are we fucking thinking? Now that everybody does this shit, and you keep raising the bar, and I got to jump higher, got to jump farther, or just doing the same thing that everybody else does, somebody's going to get killed. J.D. McDonough would have died on live television if he had been 6 inches shorter of where he landed. Because the injuries that he's gotten apparently are two broken ribs and a punctured lung. And the reason for that is if you go back and look at this in any kind of slow motion or just with a careful eye, the back of his head hit that little fucking spoiler or, little hood thing on the top of the desk, there's an element of give in that, and it's detachable from the desk. What hit the corner of the desk was the area in between his shoulder blades and his middle back, which is what apparently broke the ribs and punctured the lung, but saved his life, because if the back of his head had come down at that momentum 6 inches short of where it landed, it would have been his head on the corner of the goddamn desk, and it would have fucking given him fatal brain damage, wouldn't it? I mean, I'm not a doctor.
He was coming
here.
down fast, and again, the trajectory, just the angle he was at. Because part of me, when I first watched the replay and they showed it in slow motion, I was like, where's Ivan? Is it Ivan?
Ivar.
Or was it even Ivar? Where's...
It matters not. The war guy.
Where is Mr. War? Could he have caught him? Could he have stopped this? Because he went right over him. And I don't know
because of the way when you're moonsaulting on a guy that's standing up on the floor, you're going to land with your midsection kind of on his shoulders, and it breaks the fall, and you still spin off. But that's what I'm saying. They're doing these things that everybody's doing, and it's not even unique or, remarkable anymore. And this guy could have fucking died. And he finished the match.
He did great in this match, yeah.
He took a big backdrop. He kept working. He looked facially like he didn't know whether to wind his ass or scratch his watch when he got back in the ring, but he finished the fucking thing.
Yeah, well, that's the other thing we didn't say. That Asai moonsault, the other issue was it happened at the beginning of the match.
Yes.
It was early on in the match.
Like 2 minutes in or whatever. But he got through the whole rest of the thing, taking bumps on broken ribs, punctured lung, just the, and you could see his back welting up as it was going along, but he was completely blind. He was going so fast and backwards he couldn't see. If he'd turned his head, that'd been worse. So that's too out of control. And I'm sorry, but that's the one thing that I heard from every great name that I ever shared a locker room with. The subject ever came up when I first got into business was you always need to be in control of yourself or where you're going unless you're trusting somebody to put you somewhere specifically. But it always needs to be an element of control. You can't just fuck it. I'm just going to fucking fly and see what happens. It's crazy.
Catch me.
Catch me. Watch out for that tree.
Beyond the injury, and again, I didn't know how badly he was hurt. I figured he was at least, because there was also a spot in the match where he took a knee to the back of the head. So I thought he's probably at least shaken up. Then you find out he's hurt. I watched it again. It was a really good match. It was actually a really good match, and they got the fans really into it.
And they got This Is Awesome chants going by the end of the thing with a guy with fucking various serious medical conditions. And then the War Raiders hit the finish on Dominik. So they're using the War Raiders in a serious capacity now. But at the same time, they can always beat Dominik because the people don't care. He's that kind of heel. Some kinds of heel you can beat once and send him to the glue factory. Other you can beat every fucking night.
Hey, one last thing on this before we move on. In terms of JD McDonagh's injury and the fact that he got injured that badly early in the match, and you could tell he was hurt, and he continued, and he didn't fuck anything up. He wasn't out of place. It's incredible. What does that tell you about a guy? Does that impress you as a booker, as a promoter? The fact that
God.
A guy goes out there and he got badly hurt, and he did everything he was supposed to do.
Yes. I think I may have chastised him when I found out exactly what was wrong with him for the father-son dumb fuck. It wasn't that important. You risk whatever, but he was dedicated and fucking determined, and the fact that he could gut through it. We've all, goddamn, I had to get out of the ring, when I dropped off the scaffold, even though Bubba had to help me, but you try to get through whatever you've got to get through, especially when it's on live television or it's a big house or whatever, and adrenaline helps. But, that was, he didn't have to take all those fucking bumps after he punctured his lung. I think nobody would have cussed him for taking the backdrop out of it.
That's the other thing. They certainly didn't go any lighter on him. It didn't seem like.
No, well, I don't think he wasn't diagnosed right there, in mid-match. I think they probably thought, oh, fuck, he probably got his bell rung. Are you okay? You can move around. They thought he was concussed, I'm sure. They didn't think that he had broken bones and things.
Well, he'll be out for a while, but definitely get well soon, JD McDonagh.
But, when you land with the back of your head from 15 feet in the air, traveling at a high rate of speed with a spin on it, and it meets a wooden surface, you hear all kinds of things in your fucking head. All kinds of bells and whistles and sparkly things and fireworks. That's not the kind of things you want to hear in your ears, is it, Brian?
No, that's a bad sign, especially after you hit your head, if you hear fireworks and all sorts of other things that you name.
Yes, dog whistles. You hear everything. Yeah.
Fireworks. That's what you hear.
No, you want to control what you hear in your own head. Ladies and gentlemen, that's why as a matter of fact, if J.D. McDonagh had the Raycon everyday wireless earbuds in his ears, I bet you that whole thing wouldn't have happened. Because he would have been too busy grooving out to the latest tunes to even worry about jumping up and doing that I'm sorry moonsault. So the whole thing could have been avoided. Everybody would be in a better mood, Brian, if they were listening to cool tunes and soothing music and provocative conversation on the Raycon Everyday Wireless Earbuds instead of just hearing what's going on in the world today. Because nobody wants to hear what's going on in the world today. So you need to program this shit. Or the Raycons, they got the quick charge function. Charge them for 10 minutes, you can listen to them for 90 minutes. And that ain't bad. That's 9 times the investment you put into it. They got a 32-hour battery life overall, the multi-point connectivity that lets you deviants out there pair up with 2 devices at the same time and just let your freak flag fly. And the
freak fry flag? What is that
freak
about?
Frag fly.
Where do you buy those?
Well, when you pair up with 2 devices at the same time, you're like Caligula. And the active noise cancellation, earligula. See, there you go. You're having that oral intercourse. Active noise cancellation is difficult to find at an accessible price point. That means if you're cheap, normally you don't have it, but Raycon, they got it because they started just half the price as the other premium audio brands, and they have, of course, as you know, the array of vibrant colors. As a matter of fact, if you get like all the colors and you spread them out on the desk, it looks like a big bowl of Cheerios, but don't put milk over these because you'll break a crown.
The Cheerios don't have color. What are you talking about?
The Cheerio, well, the Fruit Loops is what I'm talking about. I'm sorry, not the Cheerio, but the round things that have all the colors of the toucan.
Are you colorblind?
In the rainbow.
Okay, yeah.
Well, no, those are the Fruit Loops are the ones that are colored, right?
That's right.
Maybe I'm just a Fruit Loop. Anyway, folks, don't stick Fruit Loops in your ears. You can't hear anything except crunch, crunch, crunch. And sooner or later, that shit will get stuck. So stick the Raycon Everyday Wireless Earbuds in your ear in a variety of vibrant colors. Hey, fuck with people as you're walking down the street, have a red one in one side and a green one in the other side. They'll think you're Santa Claus. And if you don't fall in love with your Raycons, they offer a 30-day happiness guarantee return policy. So that means if you want to be happy, all you got to do is return a pair of Everyday Wireless Earbuds. Your happiness is guaranteed. Go right now, folks, to Buy Raycon. That's BUYRAYCON, buyraycon.com/JCE. You're going to get 20%, up to 20% off site-wide. Anything on the website, up to 20% off. Headphones, too, by the way. They don't just have the earbuds, they got the headphones. Buyraycon.com/JCE. What an amazing discount, all in terms of making people happy.
That's right, our good friends at Raycon. Contact them for your ear needs today.
Yes, yeah, all your ears need care and maintenance, and it'll cover up the ringing in your ears, JD. Maybe we could arrange with our friends at Raycon to send JD a free pair.
Well, once again, get well, JD, but back to Raw.